Three, two, one. All right, hey everybody, Harry Walter here. We've got Peter Byram from Peter Byram Consulting. He helps wedding photographers grow their business. We had a call a couple of months ago, but we just wanted to catch up, have a quick catch up call, and celebrate a couple of wins. So, Peter, what sort of wins are we celebrating today?
Yeah, Harry, thanks for having me on. So basically, when we started working together, I was around 10K a month. Then we grew up to 18, and most recently we're at 35K a month now.
Awesome, man. Okay, great. So, I just want to have a quick conversation and kind of dig into that, like what was necessary to go from about 10K to 18 and 18 to 35. So, why don't you take the floor and just walk me through back, like remember, what was the first thing we did going from that like kind of 10K to 18K?
Yeah, so there were a couple of things. First thing is like really solving paid traffic and dialing in like an automated lead gen system because like while organic is a wildly powerful way to get business and like I'm still still actively do it and believe in it and know that it's a powerful thing to do. um, there's something to automating that entire process, right? Like when you can just have calls on your calendar, without having to go out and like hunt and every single day. That was massive. So really solving that was key to making that first kind of leap.
Okay, right. And so with that, like, what um, what do you think? I remember when we were doing that, like you got really good at organic hunting and farming, right? That's your jam, right? So like
Yeah.
when you get so good at something, and then you're like, all right, to go to the next level, I actually have to put that down and do something different. Like, is that hard to do?
Yeah, it was really hard. It was really hard to do that because I didn't I didn't want to like take my foot off the gas with that was really what it came down to. There's like a satisfaction that I get from doing things that are hard. Like and that's a strength, right? But it has a dark side because it can also hold you back if you're not willing to like evolve and go to the next thing. Like I kind of think about how in the Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary, how like Jordan had to like let go of like being the leading the league in scoring to like then shift and adapt to becoming more of like a team player, right? And like I think that's a really helpful thing. That was ultimately like what allows me to like make changes like that because you just realize like if you want to get results you've never gotten before, like Michael Jordan wanted to start winning championships, not just leading the league in scoring. You have to change and you have to let go of something. And it was hard to do that. I didn't want to let go of that, but I knew ultimately it was the only way I was going to be able to go to the next level.
Yeah, and it's like you have this hard but known thing that's proven, and then you have this like unknown unknown that
Yeah.
you know from best practices is going to take you to the next level, but you haven't done it yet. So it's like it's this unknown quantity. So yeah, and I think that's a great metaphor with Michael Jordan because it's like he knew it's hard to be the best as an individual, but he wanted to start winning as a team. But he didn't know what it was going to take, but he had to like kind of take that first step in faith to
Yeah.
change up what he prioritized a little bit.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary too because in order to do that, you have to take your foot off the gas with the proven thing that's working because there's only so much time, right? So you have to stop doing the thing that's working to invest in the thing that you don't know is definitely going to work, which might like make revenue dip down, like and I think that could get a lot of people. I could see how a lot of people would get stuck there and wouldn't be able to make that change because of the risk, essentially.
What do you think allowed? So that was the first thing we did is like get that going. What happened next?
So, okay. The other thing is what you find out with ads is that if you're running like, a VSL funnel where people are booking appointments against a calendar, what you'll find is that the numbers really don't make sense unless you charge a certain amount of money. It's just not worth doing.
You have to look at the unit economics of the
Yeah,
channel,
exactly. You look at the unit economics, it doesn't make sense to even run the business, for the business to even exist
right? Like
unless
you
you're
got it
charging.
profitable and break even, but you're like, wait a minute, like this was a lot of work, and I think
It's
I'm
a lot
making
of work.
less profit than I did
Doesn't make any
before.
sense. Yeah.
So what's the
That's what
takeaway
people
there?
don't get about paid ads, you know?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like it's one thing to run ads and to get appointments and to like do calls. It's another thing to like make big windfalls of cash in your business from paid ads.
Yep. And so what we were looking at that cold hard reality. What was the takeaway? What was the next step there?
Gotta raise your prices, dude.
And was that like, I mean, walk me back. I know we had a couple discussions, and from my angle, I felt like it was something that I had to pull your teeth on. Like, how were you feeling about it when we were talking about it?
Yeah, it's a good point. So, like anything, when you make a big change in your business, in your life, it's uncomfortable. But I've really learned to like rewire the way I think about feeling uncomfortable just from doing it a lot to where now it's like being uncomfortable is actually a signal that I'm doing the right thing. So I just was like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm almost just gonna like disassociate from myself and just do it,
See what
like
happens.
see what happens. And then we did it and people got amazing results and we're super happy and we're like, I would pay more for this, you
Well,
know?
I feel like maybe this is, I don't know if you remember, but I think right when you're like, all right, we're gonna do this, and then I think you came up maybe with some affirmations, some mindset work, a little bit.
Uh,
Do you remember that?
yes. Yes, I do. Yeah. The mindset work is as honestly, it's funny, man. Like every time I'm going to go to the next level, that's always the thing that does it. It really is. And it's so easy to like overlook that or to like put it on the back burner or be like, ah, yeah, but how much of a difference did that really make? And sometimes it can seem like kind of frivolous, like sitting down and like creating affirmations and like making a vision board or whatever it is that you're doing. It seems like, man, this isn't like sales, this isn't like real work. But I have found that to be probably the most worthwhile thing I can do. I mean, one of maybe the most worthwhile thing. So I sat down and started to think about like really just the results that we'd gotten for our customers up until that point, and just hammered that into my psyche, that like, wait a minute, like people are really happy. People are really getting amazing results here. Like people are telling me that like their lives are being changed and like all this amazing stuff is happening, but your mind plays tricks on you, right? And it'll tell you that like, no, that isn't actually, it'll mess with you. And so hammering that in every single morning with the affirmations and like, looking at images of like happy clients and yeah, it just allowed for me to then when I started getting on calls with new prospects to just like have that in my consciousness, like, and it just was like, dude, of course you want to sign up. Like, let's go. Like, join the party. Like, look at what we're doing here. So it's just
Yes, I
like,
love
yeah,
it. And it just, yeah, your confidence is so better, much better on the call. You're just like, hey, like this is what it is. Like, you want to do this? It's a
want
no-brainer.
to do this? Want to go? No? Okay. Somebody else will. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think we made a decision. You made the decision to raise your prices. Did the affirmations, right? And what was it like? What happened like maybe 2 days later?
Yeah. So it's funny, like literally like a day or two later, I did 12 grand in a day.
So more than you
And
did in the whole last month.
yeah, more than I did in the whole 30 days prior to that, I did in one day. And that just was a paradigm shifting moment.
What?
That was like, what's that?
No, go ahead.
No, it's just a paradigm shifting moment when you realize like, oh, I could be doing like this business is capable of doing so much more.
Do you remember, like, I feel like, yeah, like literally like that day after it happened, maybe the day after, I just felt like there was a shift in our dialogue where you just like acclimated instantly to like 10K days, and you're like, all right, I'm ready. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
I do remember that. Yeah. I was trying to think how to like put that into words. It's like you you change quickly. Like as soon as you know that it's I always think about like Roger Bannister, right? It's like as soon as you know it's possible, everything changes. It's like your standards change instantaneously is what happens. Your standards change, and then like you've just become that person that does that. And so now you just show up and do more.
Yeah, it was like to me, outside looking in, it was like I'm sure the mindset stuff were is still helpful today, but it was almost like you needed that mindset stuff for those couple of days to build that confidence, and then like it just gave you this massive confidence boost where like you just feel like you can do it, and you need the reminder, but you need the reminder less, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, you need it less. But it's still important to do it. Yeah.
It's still important, but it was like just the character and tone of your like confidence. Like beforehand, there's some doubt, right? A fair bit of doubt, and it was just like afterwards, you're like, all right, I'm ready. There was like this hunger that got unleashed to like go to 35, go to 50, go to the next level, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
So okay, so we did that. So then, what was the next phase of this? That kind of brought us to the 18K month. What happened to go from 18 to 35?
So I just wrote like one really killer ad is kind of what happened. Like, so what I sort of realized at a certain point is that like the technical stuff when it comes to ads management and like, building and managing scaling campaigns is important. But it sort of dawned on me that like really the most important thing is actually being like an excellent copywriter. Like that's kind of like the whole game, because I saw the difference when I wrote an ad that just lit it up. And literally like I wrote this ad and it just packed my calendar for like 2 weeks. And then what I did was I would just get on those calls, and I had such an abundance mentality, right? Because it was like, I have so many appointments here, and everybody I was getting on the call with was so warmed up from my value video and from the ad. It's like the ad was pulling the right people through, and then the video was getting them warmed up, and then they were scheduling and they were coming on, and they just wanted to know like the details basically.
Yeah.
And because I had so many people on the calendar, I had this mindset of like, look, if you're not ready to go, like that's okay, no worries at all. And I just would go on to the next person. And people just started falling, like to use some of your language, like dominoes, right? Like they just, everybody was just like, yep, let's do it. And yeah, so I think it was just writing really good copy and having that mindset that came from doing the affirmations and also from like just having such abundance of people to speak to.
Yep. And to me, what comes to mind is like, so you made that leap, and it's like that energy and focus and time that you would spend on organic hunting. You're like, okay, I need to shift that energy to copywriting.
Yeah,
Is that fair?
exactly. That's exactly it. Like, my whole schedule had to change. Like my day went from being like, going organic, finding people in groups, posting content, messaging people, doing quick chats. My day shifted from that to like deep work, alone, writing ads, testing ads, starting to notice patterns, cause and effect relationships, and just doing that all the time.
Did it feel like, how uncomfortable did it feel going from like that extremely social, like out there channel where you're talking to people all the time to like doing this deep work channel where you're like, I'm going to spend 10 hours on this and I don't know if anything's going to come of it, you know?
Yeah. So like I love doing deep work. I like doing both. They're just totally different. Like it's almost like you're a different person when you're doing one or the other, you know? Um, but I really love doing deep work. The hard part is you almost have a hard time believing it's going to work, you know?
You have to have
Like,
some courage. Like you have to have like a steel, steel your stomach and be like, all right, I'm gonna do this.
yeah, like you're like, I'm going to write this ad and like it's going to go out there into the ether and we'll see, you know? And sometimes they don't work.
And you spend money, and you have to have the stomach for that.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. It's a totally different game. It really is.
Did you
But
have
it's
some
super,
ads that didn't work? Because it was you wrote one
yeah.
killer ad, but you wrote a lot of ads.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like maybe 3, 4 angles a month and maybe more, depends on the month. And like maybe one really kills it, and then like one will do okay, but not great. Maybe two will do okay, but not great, and then like one or two just like really go nowhere, you know? But that's valuable. It's like doing quick chats and putting your message in front of people and it not resonating and not people not getting, or sorry, doing outreach and not getting quick chats, right? It's the same kind of thing. Like you get feedback when you do that. And then you're like, okay, you record that, you know that, and you just don't do that again.
Yep, yep. And it's like a
Yeah.
statistical process.
Yeah.
Just it's
Yeah.
a
There's
shakeout.
another thing too. I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but the other part of this whole thing is really like dialing in your funnel. And so, one of the things that you learn the more you do this is like that how all of these pieces are separate, but they're all interdependent on each other at the same time, you know? So like you write a new ad and it gets new people coming through,
Different type of person.
different type of person coming through, which then may affect the performance of certain pages in the funnel. So maybe certain pages weren't doing as well before, and now they're doing better because it's different traffic coming through. But I had to adjust the message based around COVID, and I had to really like revamp the landing page to make that just crush it.
I forgot that. You're right. We really aggressively leveled up the landing page.
Yeah, landing page. Put proof on the landing page,
Are you
right?
still getting the interviews you do in front of people before you speak to them from paid
Oh,
ads?
absolutely. Absolutely. Like, so that's one of the main things I focus on is getting the customer interviews. And those, the way it works is when somebody schedules an appointment from, an ad, I send them an email. I'm still doing it manually. I mean, at some point that probably won't make sense, but still works great now. Sending them an email, and I include like customer interviews. And I'm really like, I have this like war chest of customer interviews now. And these things are like powerful, man. Like some people will watch like 5 interviews before coming on a call with me.
And they'll mention it on the call, right? They'll talk to you
Oh yeah.
about
Oh yeah.
it.
And then like, yeah, like again, just the difference that makes in closing a deal is it's massive. It can't be overstated.
And to me, like the way I talk to my clients about it, like the idea is like leads are not found, they're made,
Yeah, I
right?
like that. Yeah,
So
I
even
like
if
that.
you have like all the different pieces, you got the ad, you got the opt-in page, you got the value video, whatever, you got all these touches. It's all about the quality of the touches, the content in them, and how much those touches are massaging them into the right lead. And sometimes you have to do a little bit more work to massage them, right? If that makes sense. And so
Hmm.
all this stuff we're doing is just kind of trying to like butter them up, polish them, shape them up so that when we get on a call with them, we have the best chance at seeing if they're a good fit and getting them to make a decision if it makes sense for them. You know?
Exactly right. Yeah, yeah, it's a good point. They really are like there's this I was thinking about this earlier today. There's this misconception that like there's good leads and there's bad leads,
Where are
right?
the good leads? I
Yeah,
can't get
it's
quality
them
leads.
and us. Exactly. Right? Like I need the good if I just had the good leads, then I'd be and it's not the way you want to think. You want to think like they're just people in the niche. And there's things I can do to warm them up and there's things I can do to like make them see the value on the call that'll get them to buy. And if they don't, no worries. There's so many people out there, and you just have to have that attitude. It's the most important thing.
And there are things that you can do or don't do that will make them cold as ice. You know, it goes both ways. You could take that same person. It's like, oh, if I just not said that, there's a good chance they would have bought. You know, or oh, if I just had said not said
Yeah,
that, then maybe they would have not signed up, right?
yeah, and you don't want to like obsess about that and like let that hold you back, but you want to use that as feedback. You're absolutely right. Like, okay, yeah, I said XYZ, and I'm not going to do that next time.
It went sideways. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. Well, cool. So, what else? Is there anything else that's big that you've done to really get to that next level?
So we talked about mindset, we talked about paid traffic, talked about the interviews. Um, yeah, just being relentless, just being consistent every single day, and just having this attitude of just being like, a high performing athlete or something. It's like getting your sleep, having your day dialed in, having everything scheduled, being organized, like waking up, having a routine, sitting down, like, and just being locked in, just being focused and ready to go, and eliminating all distractions and just focusing on the most important things. And
Yep.
that's you do that. You have to do that. Like, there's no way around doing the work.
Yep.
And yeah,
No,
focus.
I think you're right. Focus, and I think you kind of going from 18 to 35. I just remember talking to you, and you're like, I just got to make it happen. I just got to do it. Like there was this like switch and kind of like almost like you burn the bridges. You're going forward. There's no turning back, and it's like because you had that mindset of like it will work. You made it work, right? You didn't fall back on organic. You didn't retreat to that. You made it work.
Yeah, there's literally zero doubt in my mind that this business can go to 100 grand a month or a million a month, right? And it just comes down to like forging the right path, creating the plan, and then just executing on that. That's it. But I think having that attitude, and just knowing that it it just like there's no excuses. You're just like, what do we need to do to make it happen? We're going to make it happen one way or another. We just got to figure out what the pieces we need to pull together are to make that happen.
What are the right steps in the right order? And then just
Yeah,
do it.
exactly. Yeah.
So I love it, man. So just to switch gears, like what can you just speak to like what it's been, briefly maybe some things that have been helpful about having me as a resource for you over the last couple of months?
Yeah. So I think, just your emphasis on proof and customer interviews and how to leverage those assets is massive. We talked about this last time. Um, you know, social proof, it makes things so much easier for somebody to make a decision to move forward with you when they see that. When they see somebody else who looks like them, that's addressing all of their fears, all of their objections, all of their desires, and is like putting their mind at ease, like that's massive. So that has been a game changer for me, and that's something that like I'm doing more now than ever, right? Um, I think just like having you to mastermind with and to like check my calculus and to get insights from you to do, have you thought about looking at it this way, or pushing me to do things that maybe I wasn't, like they were in the back of my mind, like the pricing thing, but it wasn't that urgent. And then having a dialogue with you and you saying, hey, look, like let's look at the numbers here. Like I don't believe that I would have gone as far as fast, right? Had we not been doing those things. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is like you have a very technical mind, being an engineer, which I think is an asset that makes you like really dangerous. Like I think it's a unique skill set that other people would be wise to take advantage of, because it's kind of like Ray Dalio talks about in Principles, right? Like triangulating with other like believable people, right? And if there's other people that have strengths, you want to leverage those things. And so like to somebody who maybe isn't necessarily as technical or doesn't think in that almost like programmer like way, it can be really powerful to have somebody on your team who's helping you out in that way. So I like that. That's been massive in just really being able to like break this thing down to like the most fundamental level, and then figuring out, what levers to pull and what moves to make to attain the goal.
That's awesome, man. No, I dig it, and I think you nailed it. I think I'm enjoying kind of being a sounding board for you, figuring out basically it's like what to do in what order and how much emphasis to place on different things, right? And just having other people, even like you have serious horsepower, right? You're no dummy, but it's still we have inertia, we have blind spots, and being able to have somebody else who cares about you, but they're not so in your business that they can be like, dude, why don't you just raise your prices? Why don't you just do this and really put your feet to the fire and make it happen with you?
Yeah, exactly. Like that's a really, really valuable thing is you're absolutely right. Like we all have blind spots. We all miss things, and having somebody there that is an outsider, that is like a third party observer on your business and can be like, no, dude, you're missing this.
Have you thought about this?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, as a businessman, like you have to be humble enough to be like, okay, maybe I don't know, I'm going to listen. I'm going to try this thing, excuse me, even though I'm not 100% confident that it is the right thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And then it works. Right. and it's a game changer for sure.
Nice, man. So, what's on deck for you next 30 days, 90 days? What do you have planned?
So yeah, the goal for me is just keep scaling. That's just where I'm at today. It's just all about scaling, and making sure that like my customers continue to be happy. That's going well. I want to make some, keep adding some things into the program, to just keep improving results even more. Yeah. And I just want to drive more appointments with paid ads, take this business to 7 figures, and then figure out the next thing after that. So that's kind of like the 90-day goal.
Awesome. So, Peter, if you have any advice, what would be like your number one piece of advice for coaches and consultants right now?
Like at what stage?
Good question. I would say folks that are making some sales, but maybe they're not doing 10K a month consistently yet. Maybe they're not doing 20K a month consistently yet. They're like in that early phase. They've got a couple of wins, but they're just not quite consistent with their revenue.
Yeah. So what I would say is, think about this for a second. Trying to get to 10K consistently. First thing would be like making sure that the unit economics makes sense, right? Like in the beginning, it's a no-brainer to start just doing organically. Like, and not just in the beginning, like organic can scale as well. But for coaches and consultants that are kind of in that situation or that position, it's really like, that's kind of that would really be like the first thing I would say is like, gotta have the pricing at a certain point to where it makes sense. Because, if you're doing 10 strategy sessions a month and you're closing 2 and you're only charging $2,000, like it's going to be harder to get there. Right. So, maybe raise your prices. Okay. The point is make sure that the numbers make sense. Make sure that you're charging enough money that it makes sense. And then I would just say like really be honest with yourself in terms of like, if the goal is to get to $10,000 a month consistently, um, how much outreach do you really need to do? How many people do you need to add a day? How many groups do you need to go in? And how many posts do you need to comment on? And just, put your phone on airplane mode, like get rid of all the distractions, like don't have a million tabs open on your computer, like just lock in, put your headphones in and just get it done. And if you do the work, it can't help but pay off. Because here's the thing, like that's so genius about the way that this stuff works is that it's iterative. So it's not just like, you do something, it doesn't work, and then it's done. It's like you're constantly getting feedback, you're constantly improving, you're constantly making changes, you're constantly getting better. And so there's really no such thing as failure. So if you don't do something and get it the first time, you just adjust it and improve. But you want to make sure that you're being consistent and that you're charging enough money to where it's even possible to attain your goal.
I like it, man. I agree. And I think it's interesting. Like, I think getting to that 10K a month consistently is probably harder than going from 10 to 20 or 10 to 30. I don't know if you think that.
You mean going from 0 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the most challenging things because until you've done that, you don't really believe it's possible. This is the thing, right? And so you have to go up against that.
You're going up
But
against that, you're going up all these things, and then it's like all that work you did to get to 10K, there's going to be like work that you did that didn't lead to revenue on the way to get to 10K, that then comes back around in month two, month three, month four. Like there's this snowball effect where people
Mhm.
take longer to nurture and stuff like that. And so you just get this, I call it the flywheel, right? Like the first spin, it's the hardest, getting it turning, but then like it just gets easier and easier to turn as you do the right things well, if that makes sense.
Yep, 100%.
Awesome, man. All right, so Peter, if there's any photographers that are listening to this interview, if anybody's just curious about your story, like where can they go find out more about you online?
Yeah, the best place would probably be just to go to my website, peterboundconsulting.com, or actually, that's not really the best place. The best place, you could shoot me an email there if you want, or you could go watch the free training and book a call with us if it seems like a good fit, makes sense. But what I'd recommend is you can just find me on Facebook at Peter Byram. You can add me as a friend, shoot me a message, we can chat, and if I can help you, I'll tell you what that looks like.
Awesome, man. Well, Peter, thanks so much, man. Can't wait to see what you do in the next few months.
Thanks a lot, Harry. We'll
All
talk
right.
soon.
All right. Bye.